Geno Smith slams an NFL insider saying that he made up a report about the Seahawks. And he says the media is full of liars. It's so crazy. And George, even though I guess we're not media, but we're here doing some stuff on social media and on YouTube.
We're the new media, as Draymond Green would say.
Yeah, the new media. I agree with him. It's kind of crazy. I feel like these days we have no idea what reports are true and what reports aren't, and that's probably what was going down here on Twitter.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. Like some report, like I feel like when there's smoke, there's fire, but it could also, there's a lot of people who claim to be insiders that aren't really insiders. And there's no shade at whoever posted. It was John something, right?
I'm going to get to it. I'm going to read it, obviously.
Yeah, but like no shade to him, but I don't know how in tune he is with the organization. So like at the end of the day, I don't think Geno's on any shaky ground. And I think Geno is definitely the starting quarterback going into the season. And honestly, go look at Geno's last 2 years stats. Pretty good. Geno's been a very good to top 12 to 16 quarterback in the NFL. And that's good enough for now because you don't have Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Geno Smith and Sam Howell.
Yeah. Well, let me get to the tweet. So the guy's John Frisella. He used to work at Bleacher Report and Fansided. He's a New York Insider NFL draft analyst is what he says to be. His tweet was, breaking, Seattle Seahawks starting quarterback Geno Smith on shakier ground than people realize. That was in quotes, according to a West Coast source. So that's always questionable. Who knows who the source is?
I know a guy in the West Coast.
Yeah, some guy all the way on the West Coast. It's on shakier ground than people realize. The Seahawks front office believes they got a steal in the Sam Howell trade, and they are astonished at how productive he was despite a dysfunctional situation in Washington. My source compared the Seattle situation to the Pittsburgh Steelers. If Russ falters, Fields is going to be in there, he said. Now, simply, George.
I mean, that's fair if Geno falters. Yeah, okay.
Like, the thing is, there's two parts to this. One, the shakier ground than people realize part seems a little stupid. Like, okay, he's on shaky ground.
How shaky was the ground? Was it like a 4.1 earthquake or a 7.1 earthquake? It's probably more closer to a 5.2. It's shakier than you realize, my friend.
Yeah, like every quarterback's on shaky grounds, first of all, in the NFL, other than like 3 or 4 of them. Like, unless you're a Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, like fucking Dak Prescott's on shaky ground. Like,
shaky. Well, he's on shakier than you realize ground, please.
Yeah, then you realize. But really, to the point, George, is sure, the front office might think they did get a steal in Sam Howell. That's very possible. And sure, if Russ falters, Justin Fields gets the job. Well, same thing could be for Seattle. If Geno somehow comes in and plays like Russell Wilson did in Denver that first year and falters, as they say, yeah, maybe Sam Howell is going to be the quarterback. So I think at the end of the day, I agree with Geno Smith that sometimes these tweets and these things are crazy. He tweeted saying, "You made this BS up. Media's full of liars. It's so crazy," which is true and not true. I think some things come from real things. Media people can also get sources that they believe in and say them. But at the end of the day, right, if Geno plays like complete shit, fine, maybe Sam Howell will be in there, which is fair to say.
Yeah, very, very fair. And I don't think Geno's going to play like shit. I actually, Geno.
I think he's going to revamp from last year.
Yeah, I think he's going to fall somewhere in between where he was last year and where he was the year before that, which would be around the 11th best quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, somewhere between like 11 and 13, depending on
right, which is kind of that almost no man's land that you want to be in as a franchise. You don't want the 11th best quarterback. You want closer to the 4th or 5th, or of course the best. But like, you don't want to be having the 11th best quarterback for so many seasons because it doesn't really take you anywhere. But like, also it's good enough to be competitive, but not competitive enough to win a Super Bowl. It's like a weird area. Really, like that's the weirdest area to be in. That's the area the Dallas Cowboys have been in for so many years now with Dak Prescott.
Yeah. You don't want to be stuck in that for too long and for like
Yeah.
$40-50 million a year. Now, that's the thing with the Seahawks. They're not stuck in this in the Dak Prescott type of prices. They got Geno for like $20 million pretty much. He restructured, right? So, like, for a guy who in 2022, he was at 70% completion with 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, and 11 picks. And last year, 65%, 3,600 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 9 picks.
And how many games last year? Again, because he missed a few of them, right?
Like two.
Was it 2 games that he missed?
I think so.
Or like 2.5 because he left one in the middle of the game and Locke came in?
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah.
I don't have the exact number.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm just on Google Stats right now. But the point is, yeah, he probably would have been closer to 4,000 yards on the year if he played all those games. So
That would have been good enough for the best season in Chicago Bears history.
Literally, I mean, 2022, he would have been the best quarterback in Bears history. He had 4,200 yards and 30 touchdowns. Nobody ever thrown for 30 touchdowns or 4,000 yards.
I know, crazy.
So at the end of the day, all in all, Geno Smith's going to be the starter, George, right? Like, he's the starting quarterback for the Seahawks. Now, I still do believe the Seahawks believe that they got a steal for Sam Howell because Washington was dysfunctional and John Schneider really loved Sam Howell. And Sam Howell he did tear up the Seahawks' not very good defense last year, even at home. Remember that? He literally threw for it was his best game of his career was against the Seahawks, of course. But at the end of the day, these type of reports, it's like, okay, we know Geno's the quarterback this year. And we know, yes, like any other situation, if he plays bad, the backup will have a chance. And number 3 is, who knows? Maybe the Seahawks do think they got him as a steal, as a backup. And they're still going to draft someone next year, bring back Geno. So it's all kind of funny because it's like, I feel like it's pretty obvious Geno is not on that shaky of ground. He's the quarterback next year.
Totally agree. Yeah, he's the quarterback next season. Almost not no matter what, obviously injuries or Sam Howell just goes in and like kills training camp maybe. But I think he's 99. If you said he's on shakier ground than you realize, that means it's more like, could be 50-50. I think it's like 85-15.
Yeah, I think to the point that the West Coast source said, if Russ falters, Fields is going to be in there. I think it's kind of the same situation. Like Russell Wilson's the starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah,
I don't think that's even a argument right now.
Even.
But
right, correct.
It would be if Russell goes in there and it's like, this is absolute dog shit, they'd give Fields a chance. And I think it's the same scenario with Geno Smith and Sam Howell. But the only big difference is Geno Smith's been the quarterback the last 2 years. Okay, it's a new coaching staff. That could be, why some people want to make these sources. But at the end of the day, they've seen him produce. And I don't think, this sounds bad, I know Seahawks fans hate to hear this. And like, they're not competing for a Super Bowl this year, right? They know that.
Yeah. No,
they know that this is a couple-year process.
Yeah. And I feel like fans, I want to say this, and it's a little, not too off topic, but a little bit. Fans always, and players and people get really upset when they hear they're not competing for a Super Bowl this year. They're not. But
that doesn't mean they're not
trying. That doesn't mean, no, it also doesn't mean they're not building towards a Super Bowl. Right? Like you're not competing to win a Super Bowl this year, but you're building the blocks to compete for one in the future. So like you are building towards a Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. But that doesn't, like, people get offended by, what do you mean they're not competing for a Super Bowl? Well, they're just building towards a Super Bowl.
Well, once again, they are trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course they're going to try.
Yeah, if the team ends up being good enough, they're trying to win the Super Bowl. That's fine. But there's certain situations where they know we probably have some limitations. We're going to ride with this quarterback or this offensive line or this middle linebacker we have. Like, I know the Seahawks didn't sign 2 safeties and 2 linebackers on 1-year deals thinking this is the Super Bowl year with Jerome Baker and whoever else. Like, it's obvious that they're trying to fill some gaps right now, see what they can make out of it, and then moving forward, they'll make the next decision. So it's going to be interesting. I do think the quarterback situation in Seattle, though, George, to wrap this up, it is a little tricky because it's going to have to get to a point in the next 2-3 years. Like, do they think they can win with Geno Smith a Super Bowl in 2 years? Or, like, is it going to be a different Super Bowl or a different quarterback when we're trying to get to that Super Bowl level? It's going to be tricky over the next.
It's going to be
couple
very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting few years as Seahawk fans. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, there's going to be some ups and downs. We could be really good, but it's going to be weird because the quarterback's going to change at some point, I think, and there's going to be some changes here and there as we go. So we can only wait and find out, and hopefully we just have a good, successful year in general.
I really hope so.
And Geno Smith's the starter, so I don't think he's on shaky ground. We'll be back next week. Please, as always, like and subscribe. Turn on the bell on YouTube. And if you're listening on the podcast, you can find the YouTube in the description. And the same goes for the YouTube channel. Everything we do, links are in the description, including our podcast, including merch, including other channels. So check it out. Support us. Give us some love. Leave a 5-star review if you're listening or a comment on YouTube. And, George, you know what we like to say.
Thanks for stopping by.
Peace.